What's going on, guys? ArtificialRest here, and today, as you can see, we are on my desktop, and today I'm going to show you some tips and tricks while creating a thumbnail for a video or a video series that a friend of mine on YouTube is going to make, and he asked me to make a thumbnail for it. So I thought I could record while I was making it, and at the same time show you how I usually create all my thumbnails. So to begin with, we're gonna use this size 1280 by 720, which is the standard, 720p resolution. Even if you are creating thumbnails that are getting downscaled a lot, it's better to use this because you get much better resolution on your thumbnails and they don't get blurry. Even if they are scaled down as much as they often have a tendency to get blurry if you aren't using high enough resolution while making them. So I have a couple of pictures right here which I will copy in. We'll just scale it up a little bit so we don't get the risk of having white borders or anything at the bottom and at the top. And I also have another image here which I want to use as well. We're going to put together a combination of pictures to make this thumbnail. And let's see, we'll have to scale this down a bit, I think. Now, while creating thumbnails, you should always be thinking about what can I make that will stand out from the other thumbnails, because usually the video that gets clicked is easily the ones with the most interesting thumbnail. You just have to get rid of some of the whites here because it is supposed to be a gap between it, and we will smoothen this out later on, but for now we'll just do it roughly. Alright, we'll get this. We can remove that afterwards. And I do not want to cut off his hand like that, so I'll go into the lasso tool. If you're wondering what tool I'm using to remove the white, it's the magic wand tool, which you can set the value or the tolerance right here of how much color tolerance it will take to remove it. But since it's clear white, I don't really have to have that tolerance that high. But now I want to use the lasso tool because I want to remove this part from the selection so you can still kind of see his hand. So what I'll do is hold down Alt on my keyboard while kind of tracing his line of where his hand is going, and move it down while clicking and holding, and then I'll just go up here so I get a nice white area around the part that was selected. And now we can simply press delete and we have removed the white. Now this looks very, very hard and not very smooth overlays or transitions into the background at all. So what we'll do is just go over and remove some of this extra overlay here. And now we will, as you can see, we can sort of get the idea of how it will look already. Alright, so now what I'll do is hold down Control on my keyboard while clicking on the image thumbnail under the layers panel, and it will create a selection of, well, obviously the rest of the image as well, but when we will what we'll do next, we'll just focus on this. So what we'll do is go into our select tab and go down to modify and down to feather or shift F6, and I will use 5 for this. Now what you will do is hold down Control, Shift and press I, and that will invert the selection. Now if you press delete, you will see the borders will become blurred and blend into the background much better. as such. So now when you zoom out, you don't have those hard edges, that you had before. So now if you want, you can go over and smooth it out, which I will do. Actually, you know what, let's just use the eraser. Actually, all right. Okay, so just let us, okay, just zoom out just a little bit. Okay, so now we have this, which looks pretty cool. Now, one thing I also like to do is add curves or a curve adjustment layer, and to snap it onto the background, I just press Alt key on the keyboard, when you hover above the layers, you can see in the middle it gets like an arrow and a square, and if you click and while holding Alt right now, it will snap onto that. That means even if you place another layer beneath the background, even though it's not any reason that you should, but if we were to have placed this on the person layer or the figure layer or the portrait layer or whatever you want to call this, it would snap onto it and the background would not be affected when we start changing up the curves. So I will make this just a bit more, stand out just a little bit more. And as you can see, that is a huge difference already. We did not move those lines that much, but as you can see, it's already made a big difference. The reason why I'm doing this is to make it look more clear, get the shadows out more and the highlights to stand out even more. And as you can see, it makes a big difference. Also, one other thing I want to do is to add a lens flare. And we'll just click and drag it in. We'll change, first we have to rasterize the layer because it was a PNG, I think. Oh, it was a JPEG, but whatever, we have to rasterize it nonetheless. So what you want to do with, especially when you're using lens flare layers, is to, they always have this black background, and with lens flares you can't really use this tool, because it will select, if I click and select this now and just delete it, it will still look ugly, it's not transparent. And so what you'll have to do is come over here where it says normal, and we'll choose a screen setting for it. And as you can see, the black disappeared, and we'll just flip this because we want it right here to give it some lines. You will not see that much of a difference, but it'll still look very good when you're looking at it closely. So if we just zoom out, okay, if you see now, that makes a little bit more difference, adds a little more effect to it, and it looks really cool. Alright, so now with that we have done that, we can let's see, where did I put the image or the logo? I think it's here. Yeah, here we go. It's a PNG logo of the infamous second sun, which I will scale up a bit so that we can see it when we zoom out, even though you shouldn't need to. If you're playing Infamous, you probably should recognize this guy. And I don't really play Infamous. I haven't played I don't even know how many games it is, but I know that there's a game coming out for PS4 in not too long, so I guess that is why you want me to create this thumbnail for him. What we're going to do now is add some adjustments to this, because as you can see, it's really boring right now, and this is clearly, you know, that stencil graffiti type of text or font. So we'll add some a stroke to it, gives it a black outline, and that will make the text look better when we zoom out than it looks right now. We'll also give it a drop shadow. Actually give this quite a lot, I think about 15 and 3. Yeah, that gives it a little more depth as well. Now if you zoom out, you can see that the black lines makes a huge difference. If I were to click the effects off You can see really dull and boring looking font or logo, but if I enable the effects again, it adds much more depth to it. Alright, so another thing we want to do is this word, I think this word is going to be like a let's play series, so we have to obviously number each episode by adding numbers to the thumbnail, so you can quickly just instead of looking at the title of the video, you can just see the thumbnail and see what number of video this is in this series. So what we'll do is add the same effect to this. As you can obviously see, we have to change the color to a white color. We'll actually change it to the color of the original logo white. We'll make it a bit, just a touch more gray. One thing we also have to do is increase the stroke around it, and that way the way the drop shadow looked before we added the stroke is not good. It's way too much down, but when we add the stroke it looks much better, to say at least. Alright, let me just try to center this. Also, you will feel it centering by itself. It will sort of snap, and I don't know how it does that, but it does, and it's so helpful. Actually, what we'll do is we will increase the size of this just a bit. Alright, there we go. I think that looks good, actually. Now, this was a very simple thumbnail creation. And also one other thing, I usually just do this on very specific type of thumbnails that this actually fits on, but we'll just try it out here to see if it fits. We'll add a white and change the opacity down to 15. And this fits on some thumbnails, but as you can see, it looks much better without it. So we'll just remove it again and we'll have it as it is right now. Also, one other thing that I usually like to do is add a hue and saturation layer above everything and just turn down the saturation just a bit to give it that washed out, faded out look. But on this thumbnail, I think we'll just keep it as it is, or you can go the other way and just add more color, which actually I think I will do. Yeah, it doesn't do a lot, but it does enough. And just to see if your thumbnail will work, or if you think it will work, we can add a new, or create a new canvas and go into a YouTube site where you have see the thumbnails and just print screen it and just copy this. Just simply scale it down and put it in between, you know, other thumbnails. Alright, so I'll exchange this. Just scale it down, and then we can, you know, see how it goes with the other thumbnails around, if it stands out a bit. And yeah, I would say it does. Also, you can see that it fits kind of well, and you obviously can see the logo and the guy and the number, which is, you know, the most central things when you are creating a thumbnail. And one more thing before I take my leave is to how to save a thumbnail. I know many just, you know, you hold down Control and Shift and press S, so you get this menu where you have all these different formats. But one thing you want to do is, instead of doing that, you will be holding down Control, Shift and Alt and then pressing S, because then you get Save for Web, and this is definitely what you want to do, because it will make the quality of the thumbnail so much better than if you're using a PNG, and it will save, or a JPEG I should say, because the more times over you save and copy a JPEG, the quality decreases on the new JPEG file you just saved. So, but with using a PNG, we can easily avoid this. So, if your settings are a bit different than here, or the preset, just click PNG 24, the same here, and everything other than that should be just standard when you change the preset, and then you can just click save and just change the name, and it's as easy as that. So I hope you have enjoyed this, and I hope that my friend that will be using this thumbnail is happy with it, and I'm sure he will let me know in the comments if he is. But yeah, as I said, I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I hope you have picked up a couple of tricks that you can use while creating your own thumbnails and avoiding stupid mistakes and all that stuff. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys later.